Okay, yeah. On 143, Kuf Mem Gimel, Amud Aleph, there's a line in the traditional Gemara starts Mikem. Must be 15 lines up from the bottom. 20. Hahu Dharmala L'Debisu. About 20.
Hello.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. On the top of Masada.
No way.
Yeah.
Wow.
Here we go. There's the top.
So how long did it take you?
We've been here now for about an hour or so.
But the whole climb?
No, you climbing. You only do early in the morning before the sunrise. But it is so beautiful.
Amazing.
Yeah. Okay. Just wanted to say hi.
Okay.
Kol Tov.
Okay. So we thank Hashem that we're able to learn Torah every day.
Amen.
By learning, we should have the base of Mikdash immediately.
So that's
and also
we're gonna get this.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Let's do this.
Yeah. This is my partner. There you go.
Okay. So we're going to start with Hahud Amalala Debisa. There was a person that told his wife, I'm giving my inheritance to you and to your sons. So the question is, because there were multiple sons, does he mean that he's giving half to his wife and half should be divided amongst those multiple sons? Or does he mean that the wife is going to get just one portion as if she's one of the sons? It's a very good question.
Yeah.
No? So, I mean, this comes in because before we had this discussion, if you say you and the donkey can't acquire and the thing and, all of that. So now it's like he's including something else together with his wife. But the question is it half, 50-50? Or is it then according to what there is? What happened to Shmuel? Is he coming to the gym? Okay, so Amar Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef is going to answer this question. Rabbi Yosef says she gets half the possessions, and the sons, plural, get the other half. Okay, they have to divide all of that amongst themselves. But Amar Rabbi Yosef, Rabbi Yosef says, how do I know what I'm telling you? How do I know that this is true? Says the Tanya. I have a brisa that Mamash says this point. It says Rebbe Yomer. Rebbe says Vahisal Aaron Olavanov. Talking about the lechem apanim, the showbread. It says that the showbread is divided between Aaron and his sons, which means that Aaron takes half and the sons take half. It's not exactly like that, but it's close enough to mean that it's 50-50. Amalei Abaya. Abaya says to Rabbi Yosef. Rabbi Yosef is Abaya's teacher, and Abaya would make comments to him, argue, and types of good conversations. Sometimes he'd remind him of things that he taught because he forgot what he said. The Amalei Abaya says, Bishlei Mahasam, over there, when it comes to Aaron, well, Aaron Bar Chaluko, Aaron is eligible because he's a Kayan. So he could take it and others could take it. So once he's already eligible, so when it says that you're going to get, what's he telling him? Obviously, he's telling him he's getting half. It has to be a chiddush. I know that he can get the bread. If I say Aaron Uvana, just say the Kayanim. They get the bread. It must be you coming to tell me that no, Aaron gets half. You're telling me a chiddush. Isha lav bas yushi, but a woman never inherits. So when you tell her that you're going to inherit together with the sons, so it would mean that she gets just a single portion, but not half. That's already a chiddush. Just the fact that she's going to get even any portion is a chiddush. So that's Abaya's question to Rabbi Yosef. Don't have any proof from that case. You have a question, Hello? Okay. So let's see. That was the comment of Abaya to Rabbi Yosef. Right. Yeah, it could be it's following. Could be it's following the Rabbi Yochanan ben Breita, right? It's following that view, but nevertheless, it's still a chiddush. Just even to get anything is a chiddush, right?
You could make the statement work by saying he's intending to give her the gift and the other children as a Yerusha.
Yeah, you can do that as well without the Rabbi Yochanan ben Breita. That's true.
Yeah.
Very nice. Small turn. Okay. We're holding now Kuf Mem Gimel Amud Aleph towards the bottom. It says, Aini, is it really so? But of David ben Ardai, we have the case in Ardai, Bag Vishmol Palga. Not like the way Abaya just said. Shmuel actually collected, someone must have said that he told his wife, you and his sons will inherit. And Shmuel collected half for the wife and half for the sons, plural. In Tveria, there was a story in Tveria. Shmuel came from Nardai. Yeah, Shmuel. In Tveria, there was a case in Tveria. Bagvi Rabbi Yochanan Palga, and Rabbi Yochanan collected half. And we jumped to Eretz Yisrael. The same story happened in Eretz Yisrael in Tveria. Besuk Yas Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef Amar. We have another case. Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef said when Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef came, he said, "Ahu demei kalila shadu bei malka." Abuli the Isterugi, Amar Rebbe, Nesvo Abuli Palga Isterugi Palga. Well, apparently there was this crown tax they had to pay for a crown for the king, and it was put on the wealthy people and on the ministers. And Rebbe said that they each have to pay half. The wealthy people have to pay half, and the ministers have to pay half. The wealthy people have the money, and the ministers have access to the money somehow. Whatever they know how to get it. So Hachi Hashta. Gemara says, okay, so there's a question on Abaya. Abaya says that the way you divide this is not half and half. The way you divide this is just that the wife gets a single portion. And here we're saying that it's divided half and half. Over there, Mikar, it's Kasvi when they wrote Abuli Havikasvi, the Surgi of Messiah Badai of Yada Malka the Havika Messiah. Originally, when it was written, they wrote that the wealthy people should have to pay for it, and the ministers would help to finish off to get the rest. Hashta Maidaka Kasvi Abuli Vestrugi. Now that you wrote it differently, you wrote it that both of them together, Lamemra Dahani Palga Vahani Palga. It's coming to tell me that it's half and half. In other words, there was a change in the text, the way it was normally written, until they understood that this was going to be different. What about we didn't answer the question from Shmuel and Rabbi Yochanan. He only answered the question from Rebbe. Maybe that's the only question, because maybe he is allowed to argue. I'm not sure. Okay. Follow what I'm asking. We had 3 questions here. We had Shmuel said differently, we had Rabbi Yochanan said differently, and we had Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef bringing a story from Rabbi. So we said, oh, Rabbi Yitzchak bar Yosef is not a problem. What happened to the first part? Okay. Massive Reb Zera. Reb Zera asked a question also on, this is going back not on Abaya, this is a question on Reb Yosef. Yosef was the one that said that he divided half and half between the wife and the children. If someone says really mincha, I'm accepting on myself to bring a carbon mincha. Carbon mincha is flour and oil, right? Meya isarin of 1/100 of an ephah. Lahavi b'shnei kelim. Bring it in 2 vessels. Now, normally the biggest the mincha could be was 60. That was the largest it could be. Maybe Shishim Mikleyachad, so you bring 60 in one vessel, Varba and Mikleyachad, and then you bring 40 in the other one, because 60, 40 would be 100, right? Imhevi Chamishim Mikleyachad v'Chamishim Mikleyacher, or Mikleyachad. If you bring 50 in one and 50 in one, then Yatza, you're Yatza. Sounds like L'chatchila, you don't do it equal. L'chatchila, you do 60, 40. If you did it equal, did the avid, that's good. Imhevian, if you brought it 50, 50, then that's acceptable. But l'chatchila lie. But l'chatchila, you shouldn't do 50, 50. Visal kadaitel kol gavna palga palgahu. And if it would enter your mind to say, good morning, that that whenever you have a division like this, you do 50, 50. I feel l'chatchila nami. Then why are you telling me only b'diavad? We're in the middle of yesterday's, not yesterday's, Friday's stuff. On Kuf Mem Gimel Amud Beis. Why are you telling me that it's only b'diavad, only after the fact that it's 50-50 is acceptable? It should be l'chatchila 50-50 is acceptable, right? We're talking about the carbon mincha, that when it's brought, you bring 60 in one and 40 in the other one. But if it's if the way Rabbi Yosef put it is that whenever you say this and this, it's always 50-50. Kuf Mem Gimel Amud Beis. Yeah. So Hachi Hashta says, hold on. Over there, we understood that he wants to bring a big carbon. Okay. Why do you say in two vessels? The other left because we know that you can't bring a carbon mincha in anything larger than 60 isarin, up to 60. So so as much as you can bring in one, that's what he brings, and the other one gets the spillover, gets what's extra. So there's no kasha from the carbon mincha to Rabbi Yosef about how he says my wife and my children should inherit. That over there it's 50-50, and over here it's 60-40. So it's because he wanted to bring the largest he can, but it doesn't fit, so it divided in half. Okay. The Hilchasa Kabasei the Rabbi Yosef, the halachas like Rabbi Yosef, the Sade, Inyan, Umechza, and these three halachas. Here's a rule that we have whenever there's a machlekes Rabba and Rabbi Yosef, we always pass like Rabba, right? With the exception, Rabbi Yosef gets the halacha 3 cases. One is Sadeh, which was when a person bought a field and then he inherits from his father. Him and his brothers inherit. He claims that I like the field that's close to the field that I have purchased previously as a bar mitzvah. And the brothers say that we can give you that field, but we want it to go to evaluate it based on what it would be worth, differently than just as we're dividing 3 fields. Okay, you take this one, you take this one. Want it to go because it has more value to you. Want it to be considered to cut down on that size because of the value. So that was one thing that we went like Rabbi Yosef, and Rabbah argued. There was another thing. Inyan was when can you retract from a kinyan while you're still being Isaac, Sukim Baisi Inyan, when you're still involved. You can retract. Can you say that 1 second, there's another detail here, but you're still discussing it, right? Like you take your finger off the chess piece. You say, hold on, I'm still thinking. And the other one is mechza, when it comes to 50-50, where the person says that my wife and my children should inherit. He's referring that his wife gets half and the children get half. Okay. Yeah. What daf was that? Do you remember? It could be. What daf was the Indian? Yesh Neichlin. Just opening random to see if it happens to come up. But back then we didn't say the halachas like Rabbi Yosef, right? This is where we have it.
Because the shipmer wasn't able to walk away. And now
I don't remember the
Talk
details.
about like sitting.
Right. Okay. We did have a discussion in the Rishonim if Machlekes is like Rabbi Yosef only in these, the halacha is like Rabbah in all cases, except for these three, if that was only in Baba Basra, I think, or if that was in, right? Remember we discussed that. Okay. Who the Shader Piski the Shirei Lebesek? It's a person that sent pieces of silk to his house, to his children, his family. Amar Rabami, so how do they divide this out, right? This is a classic Hanukkah gift, machlekes. Amar Rabami says, "Ariyan lebanim lebanim." If there's pieces that are fit for children, for the boys to wear, probably dark blue, so then that goes to the sons. Ariyan lebanis. If it's for the daughters, all nice colors, right? Lebanis, that would go to the daughters. But that would only be if he doesn't have a daughter-in-law. Yes, daughter-in-law, then he's sending it to the daughter-in-law. Sending it for the daughter-in-law, not for the daughters. I'm not sure if that means not for the sons as well. I assume, based on what I read in the Rashbam, that it means just not for the daughters. So it means the sons get, not the daughters, but the daughter-in-law gets. Is that how you have in the translations? Yeah.
I presume that it would be if he doesn't have daughters, it would be because the daughters are close.
Oh, well, let's take a look. Let's take a look. V'layamaran, and this was only said, Ella, in Yeshiva, we translate, V'layamarnella. This was only said, you drop the light, because it gets complicated for them to translate. V'layamarnella, this was only said, the less the kalsav, let's say, okay, V'i banse lay nasivan, and if his daughters aren't married, then le'shavak banse mashad lekalse. Then he would not leave the daughters and give to the daughter-in-law. What we're talking about over here is the daughters are married, so they have their own husband. That's and they're and his parents will give to her, so he doesn't have to worry about that. So he's only worried about what he's responsible for, which would be his son's wife, his daughter-in-law, right? And his own daughters, they would get from their father-in-law.
This is a little different.
Tell me.
Because he has affection for his sons, he gives to the sons' wives.
Oh, is that the
But if his daughters are married, he doesn't have any more rechayas to them. Therefore, you have to say
so very good. He's saying,
the
what's your first name?
That are more sharp to women.
What's your first name?
He'll give to his daughters-in-law because his daughters, it's not his.
All right, then I understand.
It's their husband's problem.
Yeah, Yankee, right? What's your first name? Yankee. Yankee Reichik. He's saying that
I'm not saying
quoting from the comments that it's because of his affection for his sons, he's giving to his daughters. He's to his daughters-in-law. Because of affection to his sons, he's giving to his daughter-in-law. Yeah. That's nice, but I didn't see that in the Rashbam. Do they have a name associated with that? Rabbeinu Gershom, beautiful. Okay. Yeah, very good, very good. Rabbeinu Gershom. Shemechaber anum kolasim mishum chavivas b'nai. Nice, very nice. Okay. Ahu the Amar Lahu. I'm sorry, hello. What were you saying? Right. That's how I was reading it. Okay. Ahu the Amar Lahu. There was a person that said to them, is on his deathbed. He says, Nechasai lebanai. My possessions should go to my sons. Well, Havali bro brate. He only had one son, and he had a daughter. He said sons. What does he mean? I'm not sure if he means sons or children. How do they translate there? Sons or children? Sons. Okay, good. Mikar lebra banai. Does a person call to his son sons? By Dilma, like Karyanish lebra banai. Or maybe he doesn't call his son sons. Why is he saying the plural?
Maybe for grand.
That's coming up next. That's going to come up next. Really, he's bringing the daughter into this. I skipped the parentheses. Okay. Amar Abaya. So Abaya says, Tashima, I'll prove it to you. It says in the pasuk, B'nai Dan Chushim. The children of Dan, the sons of Dan, is Chushim. It's a singular. These are types of things that they correct if you're in a English language course. They say, no, you have to take out, you can't say sons, the sons of, and then have a singular. The editor comes in and corrects that, but the Torah doesn't do that. The Torah says, B'nai Dan Chushim. That means sons. Oh, you're saying Chushim, that there were two Chushas there? Yeah, very good. But apparently that's the Gemara's not thinking that. That was his name, right? Where do we have other names that end in Yud Mem? Ephraim. Ephraim, it's just the name. Amalei Rava says, maybe, but it means is that it's just it's a description of how many children Dan had. And Chushim is translated here either as branches or as leaves. Shbam quotes both pshatim. Alekanim, okay. They grow together a lot, or it's the leaves, or it's the knots of the, okay, whatever. It just means that there's a lot of them. Chushim is like branches, leaves of a stalk, breeds. So maybe that's what it means, and you have no proof for this. Elam Rava says, I have another proof for you, because that proof that Abaya brought is not perfect. Rava says, B'nai Palu Aliyav, exactly the same story. You see, the Torah does this. It calls sons, it calls it one son, it calls sons. Rabbi Yosef says, B'nai Esan, Azariah, from Divrei Hayamim, it quotes a pasuk. Also, the same thing. Okay. So that seems to be a proof that a person could call one son. He is only referring to one son. He calls them sons. There's someone that says, my possessions should go to my sons. Habale bra, ubarbara. Here's Jonathan, this is what you are saying. He has a son and he has a grandson. Well, now that's grandson doesn't have to come from that son. That grandson could come from either another child or even, right? Can come from another son. Could be had a son, or it could be from him. Well, does a person call his grandson a son or not? We had last week's Chumash, we had it, right? When Avram says, right, he says although I'm married to her, but she's also my sister because she's my father's son. Not really your father's son, it's her father's daughter, right? It's my father's granddaughter. Says that's my sister, right? And Rashi says that a grandchild is called a child. Well, Rav Chaviva Amar Kara Inshi Labar Bra Bra. Rav Chaviva says that a person calls his grandson a son. Mar Bar Ravashi Amar Le Kara Inish Labar Bra Bra. Mar Bar Ravashi says a person doesn't do that. Yeah, why don't you go ask and see what's. This is they have this whole thing about in language, like language usage. After they take votes, like what word, how to use words are used, and people decide, like the experts in anyway.
Like a council or something.
Yeah, they have like these people that are on the language usage the dictionaries. What's correct to say? What's more proper than when they vote on it? Okay, so Tanya, do you put the comma after the third, after the second and? Tanya Kavasei the Marbar Ravashi. The Brisa that supports Marbar Ravashi, it says, Amudar Anami Banim, Mutter Bibnei Banim. We have a source for this from the Darim. You know, in the Darim, it goes, Achalashim B'nei Adam, that you follow the common language. Well, over there it says that if someone takes a vow, he's not going to have benefit from his sons. He is allowed to have benefit from his grandsons, which means that a person does not call his grandsons his sons. That's a support for this. He said, I'm leaving my inheritance to my sons, he doesn't mean his grandsons. Even though he only has one son, he means his son with in a plural. Okay. The new Mishnah. No. No, unless you would say that clearly, right? That's what I'm assuming. If you left sons, this is a new Mishnah, yeah? You left sons that are older and younger. And we're talking about now where they didn't divide up the estate. It's all in its original, there was no division that took place. If the older ones did some work over there and they improved the property, so that's going to go to everyone. Still in the estate, and when they're going to divide it up, the improvements are going to be divided equally. Imamru, if they said, let's estimate over here what the value is right now, what my father left over, and then we're going to start doing our work. What they mean is that we'd like to divide it up as it is when the father passed away. And the work, the improvements that we're doing for ourselves. And that's what happens. The improvements that they do, they end up keeping all of those improvements. The same thing for a woman that improved the property. The Gemara is going to ask on this, what's a woman doing with inheritance? And if she does get an inheritance, so then why would we think differently? So if she makes improvements, so the improvements go up to the estate, right? But if she said, let's take a look at what my husband left when he passed away. So then what she means is that she wants to do the improvements for herself. The improvements are for herself. Okay, Amar Rav Chaviva, Reder Rav Yosef. Reder Rava, Bishmei Rava. It's interesting. We had a Rav Chaviva before on this page. He argued on Mar Baravashi. It doesn't say the son of Rav Yosef. And it's probably not the son of Rav Yosef because he argued over there with Mar Baravashi, which is many generations later. Yeah. There is a Rav Chaviva that was in the days of Rav Yochanan, right? Remember the Gemara Sukkah? Rav Chanina, Rav Yochanan, Rav Chaviva, Masnu. And over there the Gemara says that you take out Rav Yochanan and you put in Rav Yonasan. Remember that Gemara? Anyway, that he would be in Eretz Yisrael. But that's a different Rav Chaviva. This is Rav Yosef's son. Rav Yosef Breder Rava. Rav Yosef, his father was Rav Yosef. Rava's father was a Rav Yosef, right? And this is we had that a few blot ago. And then his son is also Rav Yosef. So this is Rava's grandson. In the name of Rava. Leishanu. So when do we say this? Leishanu el sheshavchun nechasam achmas nechasam. This is if they didn't invest their own money into the estate. What they did was they took money from the estate, they hired workers to improve the estate, and now the improvements come in, it all belongs to the estate. Yeah, Naftali, I want to ask you a question. Someone asked me the other day, along these lines. Tell me what you think. This guy got a credit card. If he spends $500 on it, they give him a few $100s back. So he said, I have to give Meiser money. He had Meiser money that he didn't pay. So he said $500 in 1 month. He's a bacher. He doesn't have to. But he's all that. He'll just give it to tzedakah, and it will be. So he wants to know the $200 or whatever that he gets from spending that the $500. Does that belong to Meiser? Because he got it because he gave to Meiser. What do you think? I told him no. I told him it's not that those $500 that you spend earn this. It's you that earns. You took a credit card. They're giving you because you got a credit card. It's not exactly this. The person they're hoping that you're gonna not pay your things right away. They're gonna make money off you. It's you. It's not like exactly this purchase that earns belongs to that purchase. That's what I told them. Anyway, over here, what's happening is they're taking money from the estate and they're putting it back into the estates, and so it belongs to the estate.
Make money off late payments. I'm not having this.
Interest and late
Interest,
payments
late
and all of that, yeah.
payment.
So but if they took their own money and invested it, not from the estate, then automatically it goes to them. They use their own money to invest. This is the big shiloh with the what do they call those auctions? People use. They say you can use your meiser to buy to buy tickets for the Chinese auctions, and then you win. Does that belong now to tzedakah? You use the meiser money to do that. Yeah. Some say, okay, if you win, so you just give that the ticket cost $100. Let's say you give $100 to tzedakah, and you quickly exchange it without. Okay, so Aini, is that really so? That this is how it works. If you use your own money, then it belongs to you. If you use the estate money, then it belongs to the estate. Rab Chanina taught, even if the father only left for them a bar, a pit, and it's covered, which has water in it, like a well or a cistern or something. They would use this water to water the fields. Then, but they could also rent it out or lease it and let other people use it. So that money that they get from leasing it out, that goes to the estate. The problem is, who is protecting this? You have to stand there and make sure no one else uses it, or else people are just going to come and use up all the water. So someone is standing there. Probably these gedolim, the older brothers are standing there, and they're protecting it. So it's not the estate that's putting it in; it's they themselves are putting it in, and then there's money coming in because they're renting it out, or you can use it. They take a fee. So why is it going to the estate? It should be going to them if they're the ones that are standing there. Over there, that's not really meant that you don't put. That's something else. That's just meant to be guarded. It's just protection. And because anyone could do that guarding, that happens to be maybe here they're taking turns. I'll guard it, you guard it. So it's not considered that he took his own money and he's investing it. He happened to be guarding it because of that. So they split it up. Yeah, I don't have any comment over here because Lamaisa, I have a basic question. Lamaisa, they were the ones that did it. Maybe the younger brothers are never going to do it. And why don't they get the money for that? See, Taisva says a different shot here. Some sort of watchtower. Rabbi Gershon says they have to keep it clean. They have to keep covering it so that it doesn't get dirty. He's saying, Rabbi Gershon saying like this, that since the younger children could say, I know you did it, but we could also do it. If you would have asked us, we would have done it. So that's not considered like they did this work on their own. You didn't ask us, you did it. Okay, but you don't keep the money. Amru, if they said, if these older brothers said, take a look at the value of the estate as it is when the father passed, and then we're going to do some improvements here. So then all those improvements go to them themselves, not to the estate. Rav Safra Shavak Avua Zuzi. Safra, his father left over money. Shaklino Avad Buiska. He took it and he did business. He bought low and sold high. Asu Achi Tavu Bedina Kamei Deravat. The brothers came and wanted the money. Amalahu Rav Safra Amalahu. So Rav said to them, Rav Safra Gavar Rabahu. Rav Safra is a great person. He would not have done these investments to support the family. He would have only done it to support himself. Yeah. Which means that normally you have to say clearly, you have to specify, you have to say explicitly that I'm doing this only for myself. He didn't do that. Rav is saying that it's assumed that that's what he meant because he was, I guess he would study Torah. What do we know about Rav Safra? What does they say?
He's a great man, that he's not outstanding as far as well.
Do they have a biography of Rav Safra in it on the side? Okay.
But I would know that he knows what to do.
So from that, from this, we're saying that even though he didn't say that he's doing it only for himself, the improvements, but we know that that's what, obviously that's what he had intention. You know, the Gemara Shabbos, he was one of the people that was, the Gemara was said that even though you're very important, you still have to honor Shabbos. You have to do something to prepare for Shabbos on your own. Even a great person, Rav Safra, I forget what he did.
Says he was,
He salted a fish or or something, you know, I forget the exact.
says he's a fourth generation. He studied under Rav Abba. Then went abroad with two colleagues, Rav Kana and Rav Hena. And he debated halacha with Chaim. Says he was probably the second Rav with various texts upon him. He had a brother named Dini. To trade him. What interest was he in?
I don't know. It sounds like he's coming from Eretz Yisrael. He learned under Rav Abba, then he came to. Okay, but if Rav is his teacher, that's quite a compliment. That Rav Safra gave a Rabbo, right? Remember we had before there was someone, a student of Rava, that paskined wrong, and then he was all embarrassed. Remember that? And then Rav not Rav Shizvi. Okay. Here we mentioned that this is a little problematic. If a woman improves the property, so she's improving it for the estate. What's she doing in the estate? Why is she inheriting? We're talking about a woman that's inheriting. Okay. The commentators here say this interesting case. Well, we're talking about Reuben that marries his niece, Shimon's daughter, and then their father Yaakov passes away, so the brothers inherit, and then they pass away. Now she's inheriting from her father, right, and from her husband. So the Gemara says, well, she's doing something for the state. There's another obvious answer. Isha Yereshes is when the father says, I want her to inherit amongst the sons, amongst the other daughters, or maybe there's only daughters, right? Or was there another case? Bas ben abonis, Bas ben abonim. Okay, somehow she's inheriting. Gemara says Pshita. So that's exactly the same story that we had the whole time. Maybe we could have said that it's not her way to go and do work, right? Labor. Just like we said by Rav Safra, even though she didn't say explicitly that she's doing it for herself. We could have understood that this must be she's doing it for herself. Mashmalan is coming to teach us that no, she's doing it for the family, for the estate. Imamra, if she says, if she says, look at what my husband left for me. So then, look at what my husband left. Then what she does from then on is for her own good, not for the estate, right? Because she's trying to get an evaluation of what it is before the improvements. The Gemara says, Pshita, of course. That's what we said by the other cases. Saying like this, maybe that it looks good for her to show that she's caring for the orphans. So maybe we would say that even though she's doing these improvements, but she's doing it for the benefit. She wants to show, look at what was left, and I'm going to come in and I'm going to make improvements. It could be it's not even her children. It could be it's her husband's children, right? From another wife. It could be. It doesn't matter. But so I could have thought that maybe this is very nice of her, and she's really being Michael that personal profit. Kamash Malan, we say that no, she's not being Michael, she's taking it for herself. Amar Rab Chanina. Yeah, we had Rab Chanina before. Rab Chanina is Rab Chanina Bar Chama, first generation Meir in Eretz Yisrael, Rebbe's student, the great student of Rebbe. Hamasi Isha Levnai Gadol Babayas Kanai. To tell me if you have any comments on this. It says that if a woman, if a father marries off his wife, marries off his son, sorry, a father marries off his son to a wife, and yeah, it's going to be his eldest son that's coming up, and he gives him like the house, maybe it means he makes a wedding in a house. And so the rule is, Kanai, that son acquires the house. Yeah, today you make a wedding, you rent a hall, you do it over there. But I think years ago they would do weddings in the house, in the backyard they would do a wedding. Remember my grandmother talking about her parents getting a house, and they said, well, it'll be good enough for the wedding or whatever. That was like part of the calculation. But here they're saying that he was using a house for a wedding. That house belongs to the son. That's very nice. You want to get married, you end up with the house as well. It's pretty good. You got married? Oh yeah. Oh. Over there in the Surfside. And you got the house.
So we had the subject come up earlier in terms of the assumption of the minimum size of the house. Remember, if someone's going to build a house for a son or a daughter, whatever, they could assume it'd be a minimum size.
Right.
I remember it because somebody in my shul came up and said he's from Russia, and the minimum size in the Gemara is larger than the legal minimum size in Russia.
Unbelievable. Yeah, it was like Dalit al Dalit or something. No, we had
something like that. It was unreal.
6 by 10 or something. Yeah. Wow. Mezuzah is a Dalit al Dalit, but we were talking about where a couple, I think, was a little larger. So remember, it was something like 4 by 6 or 6 by 8 or 6 by 10 or something. So he acquires the house. The way this is posed by the Rashbam, he says that this is Hilchasa B'lai Taima. Gemara's going to say this later. This is just the Gemara's going to quote that. This is halacha without any reason. That's just the way it is. That's how it works. Dafka Gadol, this is only if it's the oldest son. The Dafka Basula, this is only if he's marrying a woman that was a Basula, never married before. Dafka Ishti Rishayna, it's also only if it's his first wife. So there's a lot of criteria to make this happen. The Dafka Shisi Rishon, this is also only if he's the one that's getting married first. Could be the older son, could be getting married later, right? Gemara says, Pshita, it's obvious the following case. This usually means that there's a question to show up, question coming. If the father designated for him for the wedding a house and an attic, so well, bias kana like kana. It was only the house that he's giving to them because that was what was used in the wedding. The attic is the father's probably still keeping to rent out. Bias vachsadra. Let's say it's a house, but it came together. The house also had an entranceway. Sadra is like an awning area, like an no walls, but it has a roof. Portico, exactly. Is that the where that they say that? Yeah. In 4th grade, my teacher told me the portico. So what's a portico? It says it's an awning. But Rashi actually uses that word in French, portico. We don't have the Rashi, but the Rashi in Sukkah says sadra, portico. Mahu, what's going to be over there? Because over there, you use the entranceway. People use that entranceway. It's not like an attic, a second floor that they're not going to. What about if there's two houses, one inside the other one? So, what does this mean that it's all given to the son in this, according to this rule? So the Gemara says, take it. We don't have any ruling on this. Meisvei, the Gemara has a question. Yichud layav of bias, the clay bias, kana bias like kana. We have a story over here that there's house equipment. There's I don't know what, mixers or whatever, or beds and stuff, and also a house that the son is only getting the utensils. He's not getting the house. Rabbi Yirmiyah explains that's a special case. That's because the father kept his things in there. It was the father used it as his storage, as his office, as whatever. So that he's not giving. It was only when it wasn't being used that he's giving it to his son. Nardoi Amri, afilu shoifched the yoini. It doesn't have to be storage. It could even be if he is using it as a birdhouse. Rav Yehuda Rav Papi Amri afilu atzitza daharsana. Rav Yehuda and Rav Papi. When we say Nardoi, do you remember who that meant? Nardoi meant like two people from Nardoi. I forget who. That was that Gemara Sanhedrin that said, remember that? It says, like when you say Nardoi Amri, it means da-da-da-da-da-da. Forget who it was. Atzitza, the harsana, means harsana is fish. It's a bucket full of fish and oil. Marzutra Ansaba Lebre. Marzutra married off his son. Vitala Sandala, and he hung up his shoe. Okay, that means that he's not giving him the house. Ravashi Naspi Lebre Vitala Ashisha Damashka. He hung up a cup of oil in the house. That means that he's not giving it. Amar Marzutra. Marzutra says, Hani Tlas Mili Shavina Rabbanan Kilchsabale Taima. Following three things, the Rabbanan said that this is the rule without any explanation. Chada, one of them is this halacha that we say that if you make a wedding in a house, an empty house, could belong to the son. Idach, another one, Dam Rav Yehuda Shmuel. Rav Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, this we had a month or two ago, that if someone gives everything to his wife, all his possessions to his wife, he's not excluding his children from the inheritance. He's actually giving it to the children. He's just making the wife as an apotropis because he wants his children to respect his wife, that they should be like indebted to her, like they should give her respect. Idach, and the last one is Damarav, Manali Biyadcha, to know the plain and Kana, that if someone says that you owe me money, but I want you to pay this other guy that I owe, so and all three are there, so that's considered like the debt goes straight to the other person. Yeah, and they don't need to make kinyanim and witnesses for that. It's automatic. Okay. Kuf mem dalet amid base. The new Mishnah. Zok the Mishnah. Achin hashutzim. Shenafal echem me'am lumnas. Nafal emtza. What happens now is you have two brothers that they didn't divide up the inheritance. They're partners. And one of them ends up that he has to go to work for the king. This is sort of like jury duty. You get minimal wages, or maybe you can make some money. I don't know how much do they pay you if they actually take you. You get some minimal wage, probably. I don't know. The employer has to pay, and the court doesn't give you anything. Even though you're not there. Okay, so what happens now is whatever he gets or whatever happens ends up going to the estate. The reason for this is because they would take a representative from the house. So he's one of the house. So he happened to go. It could have been his brother. He happened to go, but it goes to they're still everything is owned together. It goes to the estate. Let's say he got ill and he needs doctors. Well, that's Nisrapa Mishalatzmai. He has to pay for that on his own. He doesn't have any money on his own. Tough luck. But the Gemara is going to explain that this is only if he was negligent, why he got sick. He licked the doorknob in the in the elevator buttons, right? Okay. Tana, it's going to say he didn't wear a sweater, right? But the science doesn't agree with that today, right? Tana was taught in a brisa, "Hay umnas umnas hamelach." What does it mean, umnas? He fell into a umnas, to a craft. It means that he was a craft of the king. If he would end up doing something else, then he would be able to keep it. This is something special, a special case, where it's sort of like a draft. Tana Rabbanan was taught in a brisa, "Echad menachem sheminu gabai oy pulmustas." One of the brothers that's appointed as a gabai. What's a gabbai? What does that mean? Official position of some sort. What word did they use there? What is it?
Tax.
Oh, a tax collector. Okay, that's easy. IRS, right? A pulmustas, or he becomes a police officer or soldier. If it's because of the brothers, which means that they take one person per household, so he's one of them. So he has to. Someone's got to go. So then the income that comes goes to everyone. But if it's because of himself, then he keeps that income. It's obvious. We learned, well, why is that obvious? I'm not sure. I mean, we learned it in the Mishnah, but that's not obvious for a brisa. Well, the Gemara says, like tzricha, the charef tfei. This person is very sharp. We could have thought that maybe the reason why they're choosing him is because it's because of how talented he is. Mashmalan, that's not the issue. The issue is that he's one of the household, and so they took the best, but big deal. He's one of the household. It belongs to the household.
Is this still about inheritance?
This
Mishnah?
It's still about inheritance because they haven't divided the estate yet, and so they're all living off the father's money. And so they have no personal personal money here. It's just coming from the estate. So then when one of them has to go, and this is how they live, they're still living off the same from the same refrigerator, right? So that's why if they were independent people, then the halacha wouldn't be like this.
So if there was a situation where they had to wait for a fetus to be born or something, this could go on a while. Or didn't we have some cases where they had to wait to divide the estate?
Yeah, I think so. I think like that. I think they.
Okay.
One of the brothers, he takes out of the estate, he takes 200 coins because he wants to go study Torah, or he wants to go learn a craft. He's going to night college. They charge a lot of money. So he takes this money. Now, the brothers can say, he wants to say, look, I'm going away, and you guys are going to be eating from this refrigerator, from the bill in the grocery store. I'm not taking that bill, so I'm saving you money. I'm taking the $200. That should be in place of that. So I shouldn't have to pay you back because that's what I'm going to eat. And so they say no. If you're with us, then we'll give you food. But if you're not here, then you don't get from that account that we have. The Gemara says, why not? Why don't they just give him it's exactly the same amount that he would have eaten. They give it to him. This supports what Rav Huna says. The blessing of the house comes when you have a lot of people in the house. I don't know if the Gemara means blessing spiritually or if it means cheaper by the dozen. Maybe it means, maybe it's not. Let's see. Rabbeinu Hananel says ner lecha ner lemeya, which is basically means cheaper by the dozen. That we can get away with buying one tub of peanut butter for all 6 of us, and you have to go buy your own tub of peanut butter because you're not here. So that's right. It just works out cheaper. Yesh Mefarshim says that it's the mazel. Yeah. It's usually like that. When you read a Gemara, I don't know why I had that question in my mind. Maybe it's because I learned this before. Maybe it's usually you learn a Gemara and you're not sure about something. It's usually a machlekes rishonim. So usually it works out. Okay. Lafi Birkas Abayis. So why don't they give him based on how much less it's going to be because of, but he should still get something. The fact is, even if they buy one tub of peanut butter for all 6 of them or whatever, but he's still taking some of it, they should give him at least that. The Gemara says, Hachanami, yeah, okay, that we'll agree with that. You're right. Let's say he got sick and he pays doctor bills. He has to pay those bills on his own. Ravin sent the message in the name of Rabbi Lah. Rabbi Lah is in Eretz Yisrael. Ravin was the one that traveled. And here he sent, but in the last few blot, we had a few times that he's been sending, not just traveling. This is only if it was his own negligence by Yizil. But if it's something that he couldn't control, he got the flu, it comes, in the season or whatever, it comes around. Hashem should protect us. So that he doesn't have to pay the, it's nothing to do anyway, right? Okay. What are you talking about if it's negligence? Could Rabbi Chanina, like Rabbi Chanina taught, this was, I think, earlier in this Masechta, right? What's the base? Kuf Zion? No. Huh? Everything. Everything is in the hands of heaven except for cold and colder. Right? Pachim could mean colder, or it could mean, what's the other shot over there? It could mean, what is it? A draft. Yeah. The cold and pachim is either the drafts or it means some sort of trap is on the path of an obstacle, right? In the path of someone that stumbles, someone that guards his soul should distance himself from them. Okay. The next Mishnah is about Shishvinim. Shishvinim, I'm not sure how much this relates today, but years ago, people would, when they would make a wedding or something, so they would invite guests, and there was like an obligation on the friends that would come to the wedding. There was an obligation on the person that made the wedding to go back and reciprocate to them. It was a type of obligation that could actually be demanded in court. It's quite serious. So it's different than today. Today you go to a wedding, so you give a gift of whatever you give a gift. There's no obligation on how much you gave and this and that. All of this. That's how it is. But here in those days, Shishvinim was more of an obligation. They kept track of who went to the wedding and. Let's say there were brothers that some of them went as guests to a wedding while the father was alive. Now they went as guests to a wedding meant that they also brought some food and they brought gifts, right? So now when it's going to come time to reciprocate, and this chassan is now now one of these brothers are getting married, so that chassan is supposed to give back. So who does he give it back to? They came on behalf of the family, on behalf of the father. And now the father passed away, and it's going to come back to them individually. It's not so fair, right? So chazra sheshvina is chazra le'emtza. When those gifts come back, it goes to the estate, because when they went on behalf of the estate. Sheshvina is nigmas bebezdin, because this is an actual law. It's collected in court. But if someone just sends to his friend barrels, jugs of wine, jugs of oil, that's just a gift. And if the guy's going to give it back, it goes back to you. Yeah, that's what I assume what the Mishnah means. Okay, for a minhi, where's the contradiction? You said before that it goes to the estate when these guys get married, it goes to the estate. It's not true. Shalachle, we have a brisa that says differently. Shalachle aviv sheshvinas. If the father sent with him, Shalachle aviv sheshvinas, the father sent these gifts. Kashi chezeres, when it returns, chezeres loy. It returns to the son that went on behalf of the father. It goes back to him. It doesn't go to the estate. If the father received gifts, when the sons are paying it back, they have to pay from the estate. All of them have to pay. But the father received gifts. But the kasha is from when the father gave gifts. When it comes back, it goes back just to this brother. Doesn't fit with our Mishnah. Amar Rabasi, Amar Rabbi Yechanan. Rabasi says the name of Rabbi Yechanan to answer this. You have such a strong kasha. The way of answering this question is with whiteout, and we have to adjust the Mishnah. They adjust the Mishnah that the Mishnah is referring to. Not the brothers went and gave the gifts. No, the gifts came to the brothers. They have, when they pay it back, they have to pay it back from the estate. But how could you say that? It says the brothers that some of them went to be these to bring these gifts to the chas. It's not that they're receiving. So tini limiktasan. It was to them, not from them. It was to them. They did receive. But it says the gifts come back. It says hachi kamar chazra ligvais. It goes back to collect. Not it's receiving, coming back, it's going out. Nigvas miyamta goes out from the center. Okay, so Rabasi in the name of Rabbi Yechanan corrects the Mishnah to fit with the Brisa. Rabasi Amar, this must be Rabasi himself. No, the last one was Rabasi. Did they add in himself in the translation? It's interesting. Rabasi says, Leikasha. Shouldn't they add in the word himself? The translations. Maybe you think it's a different Rabasi? No. Rabasi Amar Leikasha, Kan Bestam Kam Mefarsh. It depends if he was clear or if he was ambiguous or if he was specified. Kidatanya was taught in a brisa. Shalach le'aviv sheshvinas kashi chezeres loy. If the father sends him as to bring the gifts, when it comes back, it goes back to him. Part of the rejoicing is done. They rejoice and give gifts. Shalach aviv sheshvinas stam. If he sends it without any instruction, then when it comes back to the middle. So it's only if it was specifically sending this son, so then it's going to come back to him. But if he sends in general someone go, so then it would go back to the estate. Shmuel says, jumping to Bavel now. Here we're dealing with a yavam sheina doitel b'roik b'machzek. So the way it's going to work is like this, according to Shmuel. The father sends a son, and to bring the gifts. Now that son got married, and he passed away. The father passed away also. The son also passed away. And there's a brother that's taking over the marriage as in Yibam. And he's supposed to inherit everything from his brother. That's the rules, that he inherits, he takes over that position. So now when the Sheshvinas come back, to the deceased brother, but they don't come back to the Yavam. Because the Yavam only inherits property that he has at hand. He doesn't inherit potential property. It's Eina Yavam, the expression. He doesn't inherit the potential as if it's at hand. So therefore, it goes to the estate. That's Shmuel's pshat. Michlal, that implies the idach mishalim, that the other person is obligated to pay, even though the deceased isn't there. Now this is a new thing. Why should he have to pay? He says, if my friend was here, I would rejoice with him. but he's not here. Now I have to pay to an estate. Is that what's going on? Milay Tanya was not taught in a brayso. Makom shnagel lahachzer kedusha and machzir, and makom shnagel shlei lahachzer ein machzir. This is where the big fights happen when marriage, when engagements break up or something like that. So they say, "Well, we already booked to this and the ring and the thing and the whole. We lost money on the thing, and you told us." So there's if the custom is to return. This is talking about more than like engagement. This is talking about when there was a betrothal. If the custom is to return the betrothal, whatever the kedushin money was, could be a pruta. Whatever it is, so then they have to return it. If the custom is not to return it, then they don't return it. And Rabbi Yosef, I think this is talking about when someone passed away. This is talking about someone passed away, not just the fight. This is talking about someone passed away. Rabbi Yosef Barabba, Mar Ukva, Mar Shmuel, Leishanu Shemesahi. That's only if the woman passed away. But if the husband passed away, she doesn't need to return the ring to the family or whatever they gave as a kiddushin. In my time, why doesn't she have to? She's able to say, give me my husband, and I'll rejoice with him. I didn't do anything. You want give me my husband, and I'll get married. It's not, I didn't do anything wrong here. He died. So, right? So she wants to keep it. So the same thing here is Hachanami, also by the Shashvinin, the person can say, Tinuli Shashvine Vesmachimai. Give me the person that rejoiced with me, and I'll rejoice with him. But he passed away. So therefore, he shouldn't have to. Over here, we're saying that it has to go to the estate. Why doesn't he just say, I would give the presents if he were here, but he's not here? Rabbi Yosef says, no. He was here, and they were rejoicing. And when it came after the wedding to get the gifts, that he passed away. So they already did the rejoicing. So now we should owe him the gifts. Okay, let's stop over here. This is as far as I got. Preparation. This is today's daf. So, okay. Tov, everyone. A good week.
Where do we stop?
4 lines down.
Rabbi Smith.